is suing fellow driver Diana Belfontaine for lost wages from false police charges.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Good morning, Judge. We have case 1083, Bruce versus Belfontaine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Bruce, you're a driver for Uber.
Was.
How long were you an Uber driver?
2 years almost.
Your complaint states that you're immunocompromised.
Yeah, I have asthma.
Take medication for it,
I have an inhaler.
and that's it.
Yeah.
This incident happened on what date?
July 31st, 2020.
Briefly and succinctly, it is your claim that the defendant filed a false police report against you, which resulted in your losing your job as an Uber driver.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated to the tune of $10,000.
Yeah, at this point, Your Honor, I've lost over $10,000 in wages.
That's possible,
And I've been blacklisted.
because you have an arrest for assault. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a pending battery charge that they kicked me off the platform for.
Okay. Is that action still pending?
It's been dismissed, but Uber will not take my phone call.
Just a second.
Yes.
I just want to make certain that that criminal action has been dismissed. Otherwise, I would not do this case.
Yes, and I have
Good.
proof.
I'd like to see the document that dismisses the criminal charge.
Yes.
And then we'll get to the facts. Oh, my dear. Okay, I'll get to this in a second. Okay, so this is what happened, and it was on July 31st, 2020. You and the defendant, who did not know each other prior to this confrontation, were both standing in line, according to what I read, to have your cars washed. You were driving for Uber at the time, and according to you, had been for a couple of years, and had been doing that during the height of the global pandemic. And you claim that you felt specifically threatened in this case because you were immunocompromised. I asked what the nature of that illness was, and you say you had asthma, for which you take an inhaler. Okay, it is your claim that there was a dispute over the defendant cutting in front of your car. She says cutting in front of your car, pushing in where two lanes merged to pay to get into the car wash. You'll explain that to me in a little more depth. According to you, the defendant got out of her car in a violent manner, came up to your car. You opened the passenger window.
My passenger side window is already down.
She came up to the car, you say, acting erratically. She was yelling at you, and she was yelling at you during COVID. She was unmasked. You felt threatened. In order to get her away from the car, according to you, you flung at the car window a empty Pringles can. That's what I believe you say in here. It was an empty Pringles can. I may be wrong. You look as if you want to say something.
Well, the report came up.
Just. I'm looking at what you said to me in here.
Okay.
Yes, I panicked and I grabbed an empty Pringles container and threw it towards the window. That's what you wrote. You remember writing that?
They wrote that out a little bit wrong. I bopped her with it. But yes, Pringle can.
I grabbed an empty Pringles can and threw it towards the window. So what you're saying now, that is not correct. You hit her with the empty Pringles can.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then she got back into her car, and you decided not to go through the car wash at that time, and you left.
Yes, I
So far.
never got
So far, is that correct? You did not go through the car wash and you left.
Yes, and I never got out of my car.
I didn't say you got out of your car. I said
Yes.
you corrected me and said not that you didn't throw this empty Pringles container at her. You bopped her with it, which means you hit her with it, and then did not wait around to see what happened. You left.
I left.
Subsequently, you discovered that she had, in fact, reported this incident to the police. She alleged that she was, in fact, assaulted by you with an instrument, and you were, in fact, arrested, and you hired a lawyer. Were you assigned a public defender?
Yes.
Okay, and the public defender, according to this, had conferences with the district attorney, and the district attorney applied for a dismissal of this case in the interests of justice. You know what that means?
Yes.
Okay, well, for those people who may be watching this, those millions of people Lord willing, who are watching this program. Interests of justice, so say the court in this case, in the people of the state of California v. Savannah Marie Bruce. After reviewing the evidence in this case, including the victim's statements, defendant's statements, and independent witness statements, the people conclude that the defendant committed a battery upon the victim. That's the way the court starts. When the defendant struck the victim with a metal water bottle, the defendant had other, less violent means to stop any threat that she felt. That's the conclusion of the court. However, the people also conclude that the defendant could have felt threatened by the victim's aggressive approach to the defendant's car. Therefore, the defendant would likely receive, if the case went to trial, a self-defense instruction. Therefore, she has a colorable self-defense, and the people are unlikely to secure a guilty verdict. That's a verdict beyond a reasonable doubt. That's not my standard here. The first thing that I remember learning as a child was sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. You can't pick up an instrument and use it against another human being. Period. End of discussion.
This is my voice, my strength.
When I was young, I prayed for lightning. Then the signal split into the sound created stars like me and you. Before there was love, there was silence. I heard one sign, and it healed my heart.
My voice, my strength. The new Eau de Parfum Intense, Voce Viva, Valentino.
Huh. Is that true? Geico's been saving folks money for 85 years?
Yep, that's right.
Wait, so if Geico's 85, that makes you...
Are you asking if I'm 85 years old?
I mean, sea turtles live to be 150, so... No, I was not.
Do I look 85?
What? No! You look young. You look young for however old you are.
Geico, saving people money for 85 years.
Savannah Bruce claims fellow driver Diana Belfontaine owes for lost wages from false police charges. Diana is countersuing for attorney fees and damages from an assault.
Okay, my standard here is much lower. It's a preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not. Not clear and convincing, not beyond a reasonable doubt. Preponderance of the evidence. So, your claim is self-defense, because according to you, as a result of this action, it's on your papers and you can't get a job. I wouldn't actually say it's being blacklisted. You were arrested for an assault, which you were not found not guilty of. You were not found guilty of. The court declined to hear the case in the interest of justice, probably because you have no record.
I have a clean record.
You have a clean record. The court said, oh, she looks like a nice girl. She has no prior record. How old are you?
26.
So you're 26 years old. We have other more important things to do. The defendant, on the other hand, has a counterclaim. Defendant says there was this incident. She did get out of her car. She went over to your car because she was trying to get back into the lane. You weren't letting her get back into the lane because she thought a lane was open. It turned out it was closed, so she was trying to get back into her lane, and you were inching up, not allowing her back into the lane. She got out of her car, probably very irritated, came over to your car, and probably started to yell at you. Would that be fair?
That's true.
Probably started to yell at you. Because I know that you say in your answer, you went over to her and you tried to explain what you were doing, trying to get back into the lane because the lane that you thought was open wasn't open. It's like going to a toll booth. It's happened. Well, it doesn't happen to me, but it happens to my husband all the time. We're standing in line, and all of a sudden, there's no line next to you. Oh, that's a whole new line. I guess nobody else sees that. And he goes over, and that toll booth is closed. And then he has to go begging somebody in the other lane to let him back in the lane. Can I go in here? And I go in here, I say, they're not crazy about you. They're not letting you in. Then he gets mad and more aggressive and he pushes the car closer and closer and closer. So somebody finally lets him in. Would that be a fair statement, Sarah? Okay. Just as long as I didn't take the whole heat for this. So I know what happened. She got out, she was angry, and it wasn't a quiet conversation. In response to her, I assume there are statements. The court concluded that this was a metal water bottle, not an empty Pringles can. And I assume that there are witness statements to that effect, which I will see, that you hit her with a bottle. She says, causing a split lip, which clearly is an assault. It also says that as a result of this, she had a pre-existing heart condition and she suffered a heart attack. She also says that after you were arrested and when you filed a civil case against her, after this dismissal, she was forced to get an attorney. You got a lawyer?
I did not get a lawyer.
You filed it yourself?
Yes.
And you were seeking what kind of damages from her?
Loss of wages.
How much?
$10,000.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any legal advice when you filed that case?
Not much.
What does that mean, not much? By not a smart lawyer, or you didn't talk to the lawyer much, or what does that mean?
Okay, I didn't have legal advice.
Well, I don't think I believe that.
I have a friend who's a lawyer.
Well, that's a lawyer. If the lawyer happens to be a friend, the friend is not a stupid lawyer.
Hopefully not.
Okay, and so, this friend who's a lawyer suggested that once this criminal case was dismissed and you couldn't get a job anymore with Uber, that you could file a civil case against her for false arrest.
Yes.
Would that be right? So good to be around here for so long. Okay, you are seeking damages in the amount of $10,000 for the assault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes,
now,
Honor.
so we're going to start with you because that's where it starts,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
You're both sitting in your cars waiting to get to a single queue in order to pay for the car wash?
I had pulled into the car wash long before her, 30 to 45 seconds before her.
That's not long before.
Well,
30 to 45 seconds is
in-
not long before.
the way that you summarized it, you said that she was there at the same time as me, and I changed my mind. Well, no, I had been sitting there when she arrived on the scene. I had already turned my wheels, waiting for the traffic to advance so I could complete the merge when she pulled up. I did not see her car until she cut me off. There was no one behind me for 30 to 45 seconds. And then out of the corner of my eye, I could see all of a sudden another car on the scene and cutting me off. And I looked over to try and make eye contact with this person, but the windows were completely black. I couldn't see the driver at all. And so the traffic advanced again, and I moved up, and so did she. And this happened probably 3 times before I said, "That's it." I got to tell her because I can't see her through her windows, or this person. So I got out. She rolled down her window, and immediately we both started shouting at each other. And her car's small; it's low to the ground.
What were you?
So I had to bend over.
Just a second. What were you saying to her, and what was she saying to you?
Well, we were both shouting.
Expletives.
Yes, I'm not proud of that.
That I can visualize.
Yes.
Okay. And so you leaned over into her car, and you were screaming at each other, which I assume you were.
Mm-hmm.
You did see her car trying to get back into the lane. Don't say no.
I saw her trying to cut me off.
You saw her trying to either cut you off or get back into the lane. Were your windows tinted?
My back windows are tinted.
Yes. And the front passenger seat?
Kind of tinted, but not as tinted as the back.
Correct.
Yes.
The only one that's not tinted is the windshield.
Yes.
Okay, what kind of car were you driving?
Subaru WRX.
And what happened next?
And I bent down and I started to point to the lane closure because I wasn't able to make eye contact. So when I finally got her attention, I turned my head and I started pointing that lane was closed when she bashed me with a hydro flask. Only it was a hydro flask that had probably ice in it and water. It was heavy and it split my lip.
Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please. Thank you.
It required 2
Just a
stitches.
second. You have hospital record?
Yes.
I see them, please. I'm going to wait for you, Miss Bruce, now to tell me your version of the events of the 31st of July.
Okay. I was in line to get my car washed to continue driving for Uber. It was way before you pay, before you merge. I was over here in the left lane. Miss Belafontaine was in the right lane about a car ahead of me, and she starts cutting me off. She crossed 2 white lines to do it, and I'm still unsure why she was trying to cut me off.
Well, she was trying to get in line ahead of you.
Like an entitled Karen kind of
Just a
thing.
second. She was trying to get in line ahead of you.
Yes, before
Okay.
it's supposed to. I would understand if it was time
No,
to...
I understand she was trying to get in line ahead of you.
Yes.
And?
So we were jockeying for position for about 30 seconds. She gets out of her car and walks up to my passenger side window. Had my windows down, so it was nice. I don't like to run my air conditioner waiting in line that long. And she sticks her head in my window. Am I allowed to cuss?
No, I understand you were cursing. She didn't
Okay,
curse.
yeah.
We don't have...
What doing? I didn't exchange any words with her. I went into fight and flight mode, picked up a Pringle can, which is the nearest thing I had next to me, blocked her with it. It served its purpose. She got her head out of my car. I pulled away. I didn't feel I needed to be there, and I got away.
The level of your arrogance to me in suing her for your lost wages, the level of your arrogance is astronomical.
I have a kid to support.
I don't care whether you have 10 kids to support.
Luna Rosa Ocean, a new fragrance by Prada. We love our new home. Lots of windows, great light.
But the birds. They're back.
Yes, I hear them.
Uh-oh. Why are these birds so angry?
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
We save a lot.
I'm going.
Hurry, hurry!
I know. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
New Meow Mix Tasty Layers. Crunchy and meaty textures with a mouth-watering gravy coating.